not here, so
Okay.
we can skip over that.
Alright. Well, I guess we just jump into,
It's gonna suggest maybe
what's that?
364
Or whatever it is,
first.
Neville?
Is that gonna be probably the easiest one, quickest one? All right.
Yep, and then, 364. Yep, all set.
Wanna read it? Yeah.
Alright, what we got here, for the record, I'm Peter Lyons with Collins Engineering Group. What we have is an RDA for the removal of an existing dwelling outside of the 50-foot buffer. There's also a building up on the front of the property, but this project is strictly for the removal and loam and seeding of the existing area. As proposed, we show a work limit at 65 feet off of the wetland resource area. No work to be done within the 50. Again, this whole area is to be loam and seeded after the fact.
Just gonna tear down an old structure and
Yep.
Yeah, what type of structure is it? Is it wooden, concrete, or
Wooden.
wooden two-story?
It's pretty much one story, if I recall. Kind of like,
Isn't it a two-level wood? It's 2 stories there, isn't it?
the back one or the front one? The front
The
one's
house in the
two.
front, isn't it two stories, 2 level?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're all here for that? Have you seen the plan?
you can turn it if you wish, so
It's the
people,
house on,
yeah.
that's
It's the
the
brown house.
structure in the back.
The brown house is in the front, that's a two-story.
Yeah.
They're gonna rehab that, but it's outside the 100-foot buffer.
They're rehabbing the old...
And
They're
then
rehabbing the old house?
the house, and they're gonna tear down the thing in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys think you're
Skip
looking
it.
at-
Let's skip this. We want something else. This isn't 177 stuff.
No, this is.
No, this is 364.
Making no sense to me.
No. Actually, you know what? Let me just read the open
You
ad.
shouted out a number. He obviously knew what it was
Let me
about.
just read the
Gotta
open
read it into the
ad.
record, yeah.
That was my fault. Let me read the open. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, and the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Rules and Regulations, the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on the 1st September 2015, 6:30 in the Town Hall Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, to review the requested determination applicability filed by Collins Engineering on behalf of Markel Murray for activities associated with raising a structure located 65 feet from the wetland resource area at 364 Walnut Street, West Bridgewater. All set. Did that make it
All
better?
right. So, again, this is on Walnut Street, so I'm not sure what you guys are here for. I don't think it's this one. Again, pretty simple. We're just trying to get rid of the existing structure in the rear of the property. That's about it.
Yeah,
Straightforward.
I don't have any questions. Do
Questions
you,
about it?
No,
John?
all mine were answered.
Were you here for that? Or to
No.
this?
No.
So nobody's here for it?
Anything hold on it?
I don't have any issues with it. As my report indicates, there's really no issue. I'm recommending that you close the public hearing and issue a -3 determination with condition that the erosion control area, as shown on the plan, and an engineer letter certifying to the fact that it was put in the right location as a condition of approval.
Okay. Can I have the green cards, please?
Yep.
Thanks. All right, I,
So
motion,
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
everybody, favor?
Aye.
And a motion to issue a -3 determination with conditions of installing an ECB as shown on the plan in engineering, sending a letter to the conservation certifying an ECB has been installed properly.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Everybody in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
All right,
done.
thank you guys.
You're welcome. No, hold on. You want me to? Yeah.
Okay. Another one everybody's here for, I guess.
This is by popular demand.
All right. This is for 177 South Main Street. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended in the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Rules and Regulations, the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on 1st of September 2015 at 6:30 in the Town Hall Conference Room, 65 North Main, for a notice of intent filed by Holmgren Engineering on behalf of Edward Burgess to construct a new 60 by 80 office and warehouse building with bituminous concrete parking area. Associated site features lighting and utilities at 177 South Main Street. What's that?
Can I have a drawing?
Yep.
My name is Drew Garvin. I'm with Homebred Engineering, engineer for this project. So it's a notice of intent for work that's proposed within the 100-foot buffer up to the 50-foot buffer. As described, it's a tear down of an existing two-story dwelling that's here, abandoned. It's going to be a 60-foot by 80-foot commercial building for pest management, along with a warehouse in the rear, and access and parking for that facility as well. There's a drainage bed proposed in the rear, and a septic system for the building along the side. Basically, the simple was just for the buffer zone for the parking and the drainage bed underneath. I wanted to take questions, and I know John had a write-up, and I could address those items by item if you want as we go through questions.
All right, just for the record and for any of the butters, the site plan is well prepared, and it appears to be a project that can be approved provided a few changes are made to the site plan. First, we need a detail of the interlocking block wall that is in agreement with the manufacturer's design standards and for the conditions found at the site. And Drew, if you could point out to the abutters where the block wall will be.
So the septic system is here, and it needs to be raised to meet groundwater standards. And there's this thick black line represents the proposed block wall being no higher than 4 feet. It's highest here, and then it tapers down as we come around to the side.
And if you want to address the fact, was there a detail of it?
No, there was no detail on the plan set. We forwarded this Versalock block wall, which I've just brought along with me. I can pass that around. We can certainly add that to the plan. It's a pretty standard manufactured wall for any wall under 4 feet under.
And the reason is for grading issues and that type of thing?
The system, the new septic system for this facility needed to be raised because the groundwater was highest right here where we dug, of course.
Sure.
So in order to offset that and meet all the septic regulations.
And the wall going around is for ergon.
So the wall frames it coming around here. Well, because the system had to be raised, and it's not shown here, I can show you on other plans, but there's a long Coltec chamber trench that goes this way and a proposed reserve trench that goes this way. But because that system is raised, the parking gets raised along with it, and we kind of had to frame that whole side of the property to that elevation.
I understand, yeah.
Has the Board of Health approved the septic yet?
No, we just are submitting, we haven't even submitted to the Board of Health, that'll happen this week.
Okay. Second, we need a drain system that has the proper clearance over the water table. It is my opinion that the bottom of the drainage system needs to be raised to meet stormwater regulations.
On that one, in the detail sheet of the plan set, I've only included, let me change that drawings here, better illustrate. We did 4 test holes on the site. I only included 2, which were related to the septic system. I didn't include the one that was related to the drain system, which had a lower groundwater elevation, which is what I based it on. And I can, again, pass that. I brought that soil log with me as well. Let me just start by showing it. There are 4 test holes that were taken. 1, 2, 3, 4. These were all for septic. This one was for drainage. I only showed 1 and 3 in relation to the septic system in the plans. And for test hole 2, which relates to the drainage bed, it did have a little bit, this was, the worst case was here at, test hole 1 was at 40 inches. This one was like at 50 inches, I think, and I got 60 inches here. So, and I've just labeled on the form, an average grade here for the septic bed existing would be 98.5, and I got groundwater down about 5 feet, which would put it at 93.5 groundwater. And I set the bottom of the system, there's stone underneath this Coltech chamber drainage bed system, at 96, which would be 2.5 feet above groundwater. So it's desired to be 2 feet above the groundwater. So I did design it to be a little over that to meet those regulations. It's pretty tight right now. If the board really wanted me to raise that up, I might be able to do it 6 inches to meet those. Well, I meet the regs now, in my opinion, but if we wanted to get into that or improve that offset, I'd probably have about 6 inches to raise it, because by the time you run the water down in the catch basin, drop the pipes and everything, it's hard to meet that gravity system. So,
It's kind of me right now, right?
yeah.
So why didn't you raise it in the beginning?
Well, I'm 2.5 feet. I'm meeting the standards right now.
Okay. There's
So-
no pump system or anything, right? No pump,
No, not for the drainage
Just
system.
gravity,
No,
that's all,
there is a
just
pump
gravity?
for the septic system.
but I mean, it's just gravity for.
Correct, for the drainage, correct.
And the drainage is for what?
Oh, wait, you'll have your opportunity.
sorry.
Yep.
The drainage, I can go ahead and answer. The drainage is for the parking area and the roof drainage. It's all being contained in that drainage bed.
That one.
This big drainage bed here, yes.
Can you estimate the ground elevation at the wetland flags?
Here's 98 existing, 97 existing. So it's a little under 97. 96 and change,
96.6.
96.5.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have exact shots there, but yeah, that's how I estimated it.
So the wetland flagging is at 96.5, let's say.
Right.
And under the DEP regulations, the anything with water table greater than 12 inches below the surface is not really a wetland, even if the vegetation is present. You gotta have the hydrology, which would be the water table, the color of the soils, and the vegetation. So to me, it sounds as if at the best, the water table would be a foot below that estimate that you just gave me, 96.5, so 95.5, and you're saying it's 93.5. So we're already 2 feet difference in basically interpreting what I see on the plan. I think the best way to resolve it would be to Since I wasn't present when the test pits were dug, there's really no independent verification of what the engineer saw when he dug the hole. And quite often, for a number of factors, that could be misinterpreted by the engineer at the site, maybe overlooked certain things. So we could do it by continuing the public hearing, so that gives us an opportunity to go out and redo test pits. And or we could try to do it another way, but that would be the easiest way to do it, is to redo a test pit. And
Well, I would only say that the Board of Health, and I know that's not this board, did witness these three. It was 40 inches here, which is worse than what I'm getting here. But I got 40 and 56, and I got 60 here, so I'm in the range. If we wanted to call it 50 inches, let's say we wanted to call it 4 feet, 48 inches. That would put us at 98.5 minus 4 feet would be 94.5. So that would put me 1.5 feet above groundwater, whereas stormwater would require 2 feet. And I suppose I could raise that bed 6 inches to meet that if we were to agree on that, on a number like that. I'm perfectly willing to, do
have
whatever
to
the
get
board
some thought,
requires.
I would think.
Is our concern from this board's perspective that we get runoff into the wetlands? That we could potentially get runoff, or?
Well, they have a overflow
Yeah,
system, which if the underground drainage system, which is going to store and do some recharge into the ground, is in the water table, then you don't have storage because you've already got water in its place.
right.
So then that means more water goes out into the wetlands. So it's going to get there if there's a extraordinary storm and it's greater than what the design storm for this
Right.
project did.
100 years.
Right.
100 years.
So having the emergency overflow or outlet is very important, because you need a place for it to go, and as long as it's over a 100-year storm, it meets all the regulations. If it's sitting in the water table and it can't handle a 15-year storm or a 25-year storm, then the wetlands is going to receive the runoff prematurely or not in accordance with the regulation. So it's an impact to the wetlands. So it's important to peg where that water table is, to keep a proper separation,
Sure.
keep the bottom of this drainage system out of the water table for storage purposes. And the way leaching occurs is primarily through an unsaturated zone below the leaching bed. And if it's saturated with water and filled up, it doesn't have the same permeability is not the same as a recharge factor. So that's why it's important. I think if the commission feels comfortable with letting the engineer and me work out some way of verifying
Yeah.
where the water table is, we can do that outside the meeting.
Sure.
But by the time the next meeting comes along, a report would indicate how that was done. And
Makes sense.
Now, is that all, it's all grass out back there, right?
Yes, it's all grass all around. There's an existing driveway.
Yeah.
It's hard to see that comes here, and there's an existing dwelling here. The rest is all lawn,
Now, does that
all the
ever,
way back to the wetland line. It's wooded at the
No.
wetland line.
the heavy rains that we've had, has it ever gotten wet behind there? And have you ever noticed, I know you're next door, have you ever noticed it puddled or wetness?
Yeah,
It floods.
it floods
So
out.
it does flood
The
out.
whole field floods right out here.
Yep.
In fact, it comes in our yard,
which is your yard?
149 South
149?
Main.
Which way is that?
Up towards the
North of
center.
it?
Up
Towards-
towards the
towards the
center.
center.
Towards
Towards
the
the
center.
Up here.
Look,
So it does get wet behind there.
I have not witnessed that, but there's wetlands back there, so I assume water collects back there in a storm, yeah.
Let's just assume that if you had to raise it more than the 6 inches you're talking about, it would adjust the parking surface elevation. It would adjust the rims of the, or the grates of the catch basins, the rims of the drain manholes. Is it one of these things that would make it unusable if it was raised?
Raising the system, the bed, would not affect the grades as I proposed them. The reason the bed, and keep in mind this is already raised close to 4 feet, and it's sloping down this way. So that would remain as graded. The trick is, when you have a catch basin, comes in the rim of the catch basin, you have to come down a couple feet to get to that outlet pipe, it's like a 4-foot sump. So you already lost 2 feet off the existing grade. And then there's pipe runs that you lose gravity, you lose some elevation, tank in, tank out. So you keep dropping it down, and eventually, to get to the bed, you're 3+ feet below that grade. So I believe I have 6 inches to give, and I can cheat all those inverts and still make it work. But that's what I'm struggling with. That's what's making it tight. And I certainly wouldn't want to raise it any more than I've already had to raise it, which is close to 4 feet.
And the runoff again is the building and the parking lot?
Yes, which is basically this whole,
Yeah.
the whole front half of the site that we.
Now, you haven't done anything other than the test pits now, right?
Right.
So before the project gets going, it's not like you're gonna have to change anything that you've already graded and all that stuff, that you've had to raise it. So even if you raised it another foot, to say, it's not.
I just don't know if I have that to give, is what I'm saying right now.
What do you mean?
Without adjusting the grades for everything.
Everything.
For the parking lot and at all.
Drew, how about this as an alternative? When you have a storage based on height, width, length, if you were to use a different chamber with less height to it, all you would have to do is expand the bed in a way to give you the same amount of storage with less height of the system, which would mean that you would now have a more clearance between the bottom of the system and the water table.
I can look at those things. I have looked at that already. I have the chamber that I've used. It's a Coltech chamber. There are different 3-foot deep Coltech chambers, 1-foot deep Coltech chambers, 8-inch Coltech chambers. Obviously, the lower you go, the bigger the more chambers and the bigger the bed's going to go. We are a bit restricted in that, this needs to be a certain distance from the building, which I'm not right at the mark, but this also needs to be a certain distance from the septic system. This can't go anywhere in past the 50, which is here. So I am a bit, I have a little bit of room here, I guess. I don't have a lot of room to give. I guess I would like to get back to what is, I think if we can agree on a number of what the water table is, I think I'm pretty close. I did dig a pit. I'm not just winging it. I did dig a pit here. So.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah.
sometimes we get them without any pits being shown on the plan. like
Right,
you
and it
would
wasn't
guess.
shown on the plan, and that was my mistake, so I understand you might have been assuming this pit,
Yeah.
and I wasn't meeting it. So, I have a log that I've provided. I'm happy to work with John as far as narrowing that number down. I think we're within the limits of making this work pretty close to as is, give or take 6 inches, let's say.
You're basing this on because of the size of the lot. Everything that has to do with fitting on the lot the right way, right? The building. So if you go up more, it's gonna, because of the lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of, yes, the lot is certainly narrow, and that's restricted. The septic system restricts you. All these various attributes, the building, where it is placed, has to be there. We've sort of tried to make this lot as efficient as we could for the Burgesses. I think they would have liked to have more put in here, and we kind of restricted what we could design based on the lot, and they were okay with that, but
What
so
about
yes.
how far from the road are you to the from the front of the building.
We're not meeting, we're farther than the required setback. I want to say we're about 50 feet back as opposed to 35, I think is the
So
requirement.
what happens if you move the building forward and
We
stretch it
lose
out?
parking. So,
They have parking.
what we did is,
You know, parking is all gonna be out back here?
no, there's some in front. There's
So you'll add it in back?
a handful in front. There's nowhere to put it in the back.
Even if you move it and stretch out the...
Yes, because what happens is, it's not a fair trade. And what happens is, why we made this the way we did, is when you make it 35 feet, you really can't put parking in the front, and you lose that dead space of that setback. But when you move it to 50, you can use that front space for that parking. But believe me, we've been around the horn many times trying to get the maximum amount of parking that we could here for them, and making use of that, I'm calling it dead space for that 35-foot setback.
But you wanna make the use of the lot, right, for the wetlands and...
And again, I don't think, I obviously want to satisfy the board on this drainage design. I don't think we're at a place where we have to reinvent the wheel to make this bed,
Right.
to change it around. So, I guess I don't know what's driving your questions, but I don't.
Is
want
there a
to
purpose
drive it.
for so many spots for parking?
Yes, I
I
believe.
mean, are they looking for that many?
Yes, I think we're too shy maybe of what's required, I can't remember. I think the requirement is, maybe we're too above what's required. But we're right near what the requirement is. I have a table here, let me flip to that. "29 spaces required, 31 provided, so we're two above what's
To meet
required.
site plan approval,
Yes, correct.
the regulation.
Right.
Well, looking at this in the discussion, I agree with Drew that, that regardless of the way we change the drainage to meet some of the concerns we have about the water table, I don't think it's gonna kill the project. I think it's still workable. It's just a matter of doing it if we need to and after we have our discussion. So I think there's no cellar under this, it's a slab.
Correct.
Yeah, so if it was a cellar, we'd want drainage to be 20 feet away from the cellar wall so that it doesn't leak into the cellar, but this doesn't have that issue. So I think there's plenty of room
You
to
can
do
work it
something.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that also, when you made your presentation about what was going into the drain system, I meant to put it in the report and forgot, and you reminded me. Where does it show on the plans how the roof drains make it into the drain system?
It doesn't show it here. I think we would probably tie in a line directly here. It would be directly from the roof drain somewhere in this area. We don't show that line on this plan.
So a revised plan would show it?
Could show that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Third, the site plan needs to have proposed finished grades clearly shown on the plan that indicate how the abutting owners to the north and to the south will not be impacted by runoff overtopping either the block wall to the south or the Cape Cod berm to the north.
So, to the north, it is contained by this Cape Cod berm. I can put additional spot grades on there if that makes it easier. You have a 102 elevation here. This drains down to the side, 101, 100, and this rim is 9920. So this is coming down across and down to get to this catch basin from the mouth of this entrance. So there is no, after the curb, it does grade away for that 5 or 6 foot strip there. But that still much less than was draining there prior to. So that's an improvement on the condition that was.
Well, I think right now you have a house, an old dilapidated house with roof runoff, and then it hits gravel driveway, hits a lot of weedy grass, and there's no perceptible runoff. Mathematically modeled by computers, maybe there is, but to the abutters, they will notice a difference. And the reason I bring it up is I want to make sure that a contractor who's, if it gets approved, installing, constructing this facility, knows just how important it is to keep that water running down between the Cape Cod berm and the property line so that it doesn't run off onto the abutter and create an issue.
And I certainly think it's not necessarily, it isn't called out on this plan directly, but there's the Cape Cod berm, there is what will be a 5-foot to 6-foot grass strip here, and then a fence placed along the property line.
So what I'm looking for is some type of swale.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, I think a gradual swale could be constructed between the two, and it would run, and to run back, I mean, you know, it might be spilling over, but I think it naturally runs back in this direction. So I don't think anything would be perceived, and again, I agree that it's not perceived now, but I think it would be even less so, based on this.
Okay. The Cape Cod berm has about a 3.5 inch height to it. If it was a vertical granite or concrete curbing, I'd be less worried about it because it would contain flooding that might occur in the parking lot during these heavy downpours, where the grate of the catch basin, which is only one down in the corner, can't
1 and 2, right? This one pertaining to
can't
this.
handle more than 2.5 cubic feet per second in through the holes. So the way you counteract that is either put in double basins, catch basins, so that there's more grate surface, or you create the height where the water can pond it within the parking lot and not run off onto the neighbor. So that's why you could either overcome that with vertical curbing or with a slight swale so that the neighbor to the north doesn't get impacted, and it's only the wetlands that do, and it's only going to be a minor amount, but we don't want any possibility of an abutter seeing that this was going to create or make their situation that they already have worse than it is today with the development of this lot. So that's how you overcome it. And it's not going to improve the neighbor's situation, but it doesn't impact it. All right, fourth. Sheet C4 needs to have a label as to what that structure is behind the building. It's unlabeled.
It's in the building here. It's not leader to it, but it is right there.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected then. And are the inverts indicated on that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, rim and invert in and invert out.
Okay. All right. I stand corrected on that too. The question I have after that, though, is looking at the detail sheet with the dimensions that you show on the grit chamber. I believe, and I review it, but I believe that you can't make the 12-inch pipe work there and still have the same volume.
Right.
So I think you're...
I can correct that. Yeah, it's shown as a 6-inch inlet and outlet. So therefore, if I have a 12-inch inlet and outlet, that cuts into the volume of the tank. So I will correct that detail
Okay,
and still meet what needs to be met there.
And then the type of hood or gas trap that will be used on your catch basins needs to be called out. So
Okay.
you can recommend a specific type and or equivalent, and then it will be up to the commission at that point to either require the contractor who puts it in to get your approval as the designer or our approval as a regulatory authority to modify whatever is there, because sometimes...
Do you have a type that you like? I brought in a detail that I've called up. I don't know if you have a type that you like.
What is it?
It's just the Nina Foundry R3700. It's just a pretty simple hooded for 12-inch pipes.
Sure. Yeah, that, you could put that on the plan. A
I'll put
lot
that
of
on
them
the
use the
detail.
snout, they use plastic inserts that
Right.
create basically like a sanitary tee to a septic tank.
Right, right.
So any one of them will be fine, but I've found that when we're trying to inspect these as they're being constructed and the plans are not specific, then we spend more time with the contractor who's building this facility arguing over it, and it's not necessary when it's clear on the plan what it can be or what it could be.
I know that happened on another site as well, so yeah, I'm gonna change that detail, and I'll call that specific item out,
Okay.
specific spec out for that.
And are there any differences in the drain manholes?
No, they're the same detail twice, so I can just eliminate one of those.
All right, and we don't have a DEP file number. Did they send it to you?
I just checked it before I came, and it still wasn't there. So, no, I still don't have that number.
So we couldn't close it anyway, but we need to have a revised plan anyway. So at this point, I have no further questions. You can open it up to.
Does anybody on the floor have any questions?
I do. The drainage, you talked about the drainage in the front of the building,
Yes,
correct?
there's a catch basin located in the front.
You said you have a building and a warehouse?
It's within this footprint. So the front, a little bit more than half of the building will be 2 stories of office space,
Okay.
and then there'll be a warehouse.
And how much of that is gonna be paved?
Of around the building?
Yeah, everything that you're gonna do, how much of that is gonna be
This
paved?
limit, this is the curb limit here.
Okay.
So all of that is the access in.
So your drainage basin is gonna be able to accept all the water, the runoff from the building and the parking lot?
Correct.
What happens to the runoff when we get those 100-year storms? When that catch basin can no longer take the amount of water, where's it gonna go?
This bed overflows to a little splash pond here, which would then trickle back to the wetland. So it does have a release for storms more severe than 100 year.
How much can that hold, the drainage? Is there a gallon amount?
This can hold the 100-year storm. I don't have a gallon amount, but
Okay.
we are required to design to the 100-year storm, which this is.
Okay. So we really don't know what can go into the wetlands? How much would? Because-
No, we don't. It depends on how severe a storm would be, but you know,
All right.
when that happens, everyone would be fighting uphill on that. But
Right.
we can only design for that 100-year maximum that we're required to.
No, in this, you said that you're gonna either fill, dredge, or alter the wetlands. I thought it was against a lot of alter or do anything for wetland.
I
No?
think.
Or they're not,
Stated
they're
language.
not
They're
doing
not.
that.
Yeah.
Staying
No.
out of the wetland.
So you can do whatever you want?
No,
No,
they're staying
no,
out of
no.
the wetland.
No. Yeah,
You're staying out of the wetland?
We're only going to the 50-foot buffer,
Right.
which is not, which West Bridgewater has to do not disturb past that
Okay.
mark, so we're meeting that criteria.
You store any chemicals?
They have pesticides that they store, yes. They store in the warehouse.
And any vermin, rodents gonna be stored there, dead or alive?
Did.
Not intentionally.
Okay. I don't know, if I'm gonna be back, bring it back with you and then dispose of later, or what, I don't know, it's just a question.
What type of chemicals are you gonna have in there?
Maybe
EPA
it's
registered. EPA registered
EPA
pesticides.
registered pesticides.
Where do you keep them now?
Where do you keep your chemicals now in your current facility?
At our office in West Bridgewater.
What happens if when something leaks, like your milk bottles leak, your water leaks, why wouldn't those bottles leak?
You know, they don't leak, unless they're punctured, they wouldn't leak.
The very minimum that we have in the property. There's
Are
not
you-
much that's stored there to be very honest with you. And we never had a leak, so.
Oh, come on, you don't tell me you did have a leak.
No, We're
I think
inspected
the
by,
perception is that it's stored in big drums. There's nothing stored in drums, it's all ready-to-use containers that guys, we're not in the business of storing pesticides, we're in the business of getting them on the truck so the guys can treat. It's not that product is stored there.
it's referred to product in use, so
So
something comes in and immediately goes out, so.
UPS drops it off, we put it on a shelf until somebody needs it, could be a day, could be 2 days. They grab it off the shelf, put it in their transit truck, and they're off doing their jobs.
Our current location, which is the intersection.
Yeah, I know where
Yeah.
you are now,
We've
yeah.
been there now for 12 plus years, and we have a very small need to have storage. This is basically more for office space than anything else. The people that work for us, very rarely at our office, they take their vehicles home with them. They leave their home to go to the job sites, to your house, his house, whatever. And they come in for their parking and they leave. And so basically, what's going to be there in the course of the day, we're going to be office staff. And the 12 years that we've been at our current location, we've had any issues. Yeah.
And again, I think it's worth mentioning that their containers are small. They're not the big gallon drums that
No.
they picture. They're milk jugs, they're 5-gallon containers, they're
Pints.
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 and they're often powders, right? So they're not, they're not. There's not a, even if there was a leak of a container, it is not a catastrophic event that spills and fills even the warehouse, let alone the parking area. It's a fairly easily maintained problem if it were to happen.
There are industry requirements that force us to get, any pest control company gets audited annually. So we have state inspectors come in and ensure that we're doing anything based on whatever the regulations are.
Have you tried to have any kind of backup system for something overflowing or anything like that? Storage or anything? No.
It really isn't. We have a little closet that we have. It's the amount of product that we have. We just have a
Right.
closet right now.
I understand that you tried going to Bridgewater before, and from what I heard that they kind of ask a lot of questions, and some of them are referred to as kind of silly questions. And a couple of the things that they wanted you to, for storage, they wanted you to provide so much storage, and they wanted more, and then
That's
good.
good.
But, I mean, help me understand, they ask for quite a bit.
That's
5,000 gallons, and you're telling me you carry little quarts. Why did they go to the extreme?
Because they were, the lot that we were interested in was in the town's water aquifer protection district.
Okay.
So their concerns were based on that implausible scenario of should there be a fire or some oddball scenario they were playing out. What happens in the event that they needed to protect the town's water aquifer system? And we had silly questions like what happens if the angle of the fireman's hose goes from 45 degrees to 10 degrees? Does that make a difference in the capacity of the warehouse? And at that point, we just said, it doesn't look like this is the right.
I did hear that, yeah.
The amount of money they wanted us to invest.
Also about your parking? They give you a hard time about your parking?
Yeah.
They wanted to reduce it on one side and add more, or they try to reduce your parking?
Well, they didn't want to be able to.
What do you do, fly in?
That's why we're here.
And that went on week after week, after month after
They
month,
let-
and said, finally, and every time we do that, we have to hire him and his company, and each meeting was another $5,000. So finally, we said, let's stop the bleeding and get out of town.
Right.
So
They legitimately earn their reputation of being non-business friendly.
Yeah.
So we've been in this town for a while, and we said, let's stay home. We tried to actually stay here, but at the time, there weren't any lots available that would suit our needs, and then fortunately, this lot came up, so we jumped ship over there and refocused on West Bridgewater.
Well, I think you all understand right now, our big concern being neighbors is the
Sure.
water.
Yeah. Yep, understandable.
Right now, if we got a big, heavy storm, it's not going in, it's not going in the ground. Ground's too dry, it's not gonna hold it, so you're gonna have a ton of runoff. And my thing is, you're gonna build a building, you're gonna put a parking lot, now you're gonna get rid of all that grass that would absorb a lot of it. My concern is, will that hold it? I know you know, everyone always says, you know, the 100-year storm. You make up something to hold it. I've seen catch basins on landfills overflow because they said, oh, this will hold a 100-year storm.
In my opinion, I wish they would go to 150 or 200-year storm, because we've already had those floods. We've already had, but
Right.
as of right now, we can't do anything about it.
No.
That's what it's
I
set
mean,
at.
as it is now, I can stand in my backyard, he can stand in his backyard, and we're in
Yes.
6 inches of water.
That's West Bridgewater for you.
Right, and we all understand that,
Yeah.
the water tables are
And we're
high.
not trying to
We do
be
have it. Our concern
sticklers
is,
about putting stuff in.
all
We
that
just wanna
land that's
make-
being
yeah.
taken up is not gonna absorb anything in the runoff.
Yep.
Now, you're saying that it's gonna go back to where? On the corner,
Here, and this then drains to the rear, so this doesn't go.
so that's,
to anybody else's
so that's
property.
to the back right corner, looking at the building from the street?
Correct.
So that's towards Billy's Lane. Okay, and how far is that from his property?
Just
2
to,
feet off the
just
property line.
to reiterate what he said earlier, is that his intent is to only use that for greater than 100-year storms.
Mhm.
And that's why earlier you heard me grill him about losing the capacity of that storage that he's predicting he can keep due to the improper or maybe miscalculated water table. If it's in the water, he's not gonna have that storage.
Mhm.
And then it will go out before the 100-year storm even
Right.
gets it. So it's very critical that that all get thrashed out before this commission approves, because if water is going out of there, everybody's in trouble, because we've got such a heavy downpour of rain that we're all being flooded. And so it's probably a drop in the bucket in the overall picture. But if it's happening on a regular basis when we're having just normal rainstorms, then an abutter such as he would have a legitimate concern, because it's impacting his property and no one else's.
And what happens if it does? What is gonna happen? I mean, somebody will...
Well, nothing can ever be guaranteed about Mother Nature and all that kind of things, but with proper, and they have a stormwater maintenance section in their report. So with proper maintenance, proper design, that this commission isn't going to approve until it's, in their mind, properly designed. It should function the way DEP expects it to be within the 100 feet of a wetland. If they don't maintain it, if Mother Nature throws a hook somehow, then there's no guarantee.
I mean, don't forget, they're not gonna want water backing up into their warehouse or about, they
Oh,
don't wanna fight water problems either.
Oh,
so
yeah, sure. No,
We're not designing this to
understandable.
get away with something, we're designing it
Yeah.
so to make this a good functioning operation, so that's definitely our intention.
Again, all we're concerned about is water runoff. We don't want to, we have it bad enough as it is. I think we all pump water as it is now. So to pump more, I think we need bigger pumps.
In general, I think this was answered, but I wanted to go back for a second. In general, would you say this is an improvement to the water situation in that lot now? This will be an improvement?
Yes.
In terms of the runoff and so forth?
It lessens the runoff, and it's calculation, lessens the runoff that was there before. There was no stormwater maintenance on this
Right.
lot at all. It's an abandoned lot with a driveway.
Right.
There's nothing there to deal with any of the water. There was a lot of grass, which helps, but there certainly wasn't a multi-chambered bed with that provides a lot of capacity for runoff storage. I know that the impervious area is improved, but yes, the answer is yes, this situation is improved.
So it should
by this
alleviate
design.
some concern
Yes.
that the abutters have, yeah. Okay.
Anybody else?
I have one more that thought about. I noticed the overhead door for the warehouse. And you need a door to be able to take in product that is being delivered. I'm gonna ask the applicant, what are you planning to put into the warehouse with that size if it's not a lot of product? A vehicle of some sort?
Well, hardware, so we deal with, so everybody thinks pesticide, 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 but it's interesting for everybody to find out as we deal more with hardware.
Like traps?
Like traps or plastic rodent bait stations that are 12 by 14 inches. You know, we need just the cubic volume to take this hardware and stack it, store it. Insulation, we do a lot of insulation work, so.
There's
Interesting.
also a heat trailer that we have, and we use that for bed bug control. Instead of using pesticides, and we want to be able to put that indoors, especially during the winter months. And we need an overhead door just to back that in.
The heat trailer, can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Well, it's
DJ, you tell them about
it's
that.
basically, this is a trailer that holds, it's electric heaters. So it's
Electric?
just a trailer that we have in the back of our office now. It's just getting weathered. It wound up costing us around $100,000. So it'd be nice to be able to keep all of that bed bug equipment inside for the winter instead of letting it sit in the trailer being weathered.
And so there's no petroleum products that are used in the heating?
No,
No, it's all electric.
And no vehicles are going in there to be
No.
stored?
no.
Because otherwise you need a floor drain and,
We have Ken who would do all our work. It's much easier.
all right.
I have one more question. Looking at the building to the right, you mentioned about raising, or possibly raising the land more, when you were talking about, as far as, holding water in your septic and so on and so forth. And then you talked about a stone wall
Yes, a
that's
block
actually
wall.
gonna face
Yes.
that side. How high is that wall gonna be?
Just short of 4 feet.
Just short of 4 feet. And that's
In
gonna
this
be
area.
it? That'll be the buffer
Tapering down.
between you and the neighbor next door?
Yes, the car dealership.
Car dealership.
Oh, that's the car dealership?
This is the car dealership here, yeah.
Okay, and on the other side, there's gonna be just nothing, just grass?
A fence,
A fence?
a fence.
How high?
Would be like one of those plastic,
Vinyl.
nice.
6 foot vinyl fence?
Design-
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
design fence, yeah.
Okay.
Aesthetics,
Mm-hmm.
for both the abutting and us here.
Yep.
So we have to continue, huh?
So there's no more questions? I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing till 9:15.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So it'll be continued to the 15th of September at 6:30.
Thank you.
And in between, you folks are going to be chatting.
Yeah, John, thank you.
All right, great.
9:15 at 6:30.
Thanks, everyone.
For additional business, we need to sign for the determination that we made, the negative determination.
You know, I don't think we got anything against Bill, like he said, we're worried about changing the water flow.
Of course,
So are we-
All of us are pumped all the time.
of course.
Oh, we are
That's the
too.
way it is.
Yeah, we are
Of course.
too.
Yeah.
So if he somehow changes that water, then it's gonna,
Well, you know, John,
of
that's,
course, that's up to the contractor too. You gotta-
John has
watch the
reviewed,
contract.
yeah, it's an engineering
Yeah,
issue, really,
man.
you know.
You know,
As long as it's an improvement, too, on the existing situation, it
Put it
looks
this
as
way,
though
it
it
shouldn't
will
be
be.
any worse. It's not supposed to be any worse.
Yeah.
It can't be. So, but
well, you know.
They do calculations
Like I said,
and,
What are you gonna do? You know, the guy don't do the job right, then.
well, then there are,
All right,
I think
thank you,
that-
guys, appreciate it.
I think you may get another opportunity because it may need some site plan approval by the planning
Yeah.
board, so they may have another public hearing on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
yeah, because there's
I know
different
where his
groups.
place is there. Jesus, it's kind of small. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go look, I don't even know where it is, so.
Across from Hockomock. The old,
Plaza.
the old,
Gas gas
All right,
station.
thank you
movie
very
stuff.
much.
Thank you for
See you
coming.
later.
Yeah. Where the corner is, Hockmark and Hess gas station.
That's where he is now.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I don't know where the new one is. though.
Oh, right next to the, go down here, you know the, what's that, the car dealership's name?
There's so many of them.
I know, you took the words out of it.
Well, you know where Dana Rolfe does his Kemps? Is it Kemps? Dana
Was
Rolfe
it-
does his detailing, auto detailing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's before that car dealership. You know the old house that's
Yeah.
standing there, the brown one that's all
Boarded up.
dilapidated and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that's a big improvement then, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's gonna bring a little more business revenue to the town.
Right,
Where it
right.
is now.
Right.
No, it's good though.
Yeah.
As long as he gets it done right now the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is this for? And,
That's for the determination of applicability,
oh yeah, right there, no.
For this,
for the one we heard tonight. Not for this project, but the first one
First one.
oh, okay, gotcha.
with the tear
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Okay.
Tim's away, isn't he? Tim's away, isn't he?
His daughter's got some type of dinner.
Oh, okay. I almost forgot there was a meeting tonight, and I was running late. Then I had traffic. Then I tried calling the office, nobody answered. Then I left a message for Tim, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, you're a meeting. And I texted you, and I'm like, jeez. And then I got here, I'm like, oh. And then it just poof.
There is a payroll thing to sign, but I think Tim has to do it
Yep. Oh, is it right here?
as the department head, basically the chairman. So I'll just have him come and do that some
This right
morning.
now? Yeah, payroll, yep.
Other than that, I don't think, is there anything else in there?
Steve had an interesting question. If neither Lee or Tim is here, we can't have a meeting?
No, you could still have it, one of the members could become a pro tem chairperson and run
Really?
the meeting.
Huh, okay.
Makes it a little more flexible.
Yeah.
Can we sign it, or?
I think he's the only authorized signer, but
He's the only
I'll check on
authorized?
that, so, but I
Better,
can get.
better, yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if there's anything else in there
Check on that, yeah.
that,
All right.
And jumping in.
Oh,
oh. We have, your membership to the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions. You have your card as a
Ooh.
member.
Excellent. Thank you.
did, Jim Henderson talk to you, get a hold of anybody about Pearl Street? The Pearl Street or
Yes,
Pearl Road? Pearl
yes, he
Street.
did.
He did, because he called me today, and I said, well, you're better off to, see if you can get a hold of the office, because I can't think right now when I was at it, but, so is there anything with the, clearing?
I took a look at the site plan, and Jim told me how much in his
His mind.
estimation he
Yeah.
thinks was gone, and it looks as if it requires me to go up and
The
look at it
violation.
and issue a enforcement order if he's gone more than what he should be.
Because he was saying that he was looking for the front porch, what would you say?
Yep, he wanted a farmer's porch in the front,
He wanted a
variance.
waiver.
Yep, a variance.
So, and then he's like, then I got up there and he's like, I said, well, if it sounds like you say it, I go, it's not supposed to be the way it is. So I said, to hopefully get a hold of the office and get a hold of you, and all right, you
Yeah,
did.
you saw me tonight, that's why I was actually a little late getting down here. 'cause-
I told him to come in a little early,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah, you
okay.
did.
That's good, at least got a hold of you.
So if it's more than what it should be, he's got this property owner has a conservation easement recorded on the back part that he may have cut into, and it's a violation, and we'll have to deal with it.
The worst part will come, the replant.
It's probably gonna look similar to another site that we've had the situation for many years.
Where is it? Pearl?
Pearl Road, that new
Pearl Road.
subdivision road.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Need a motion?
So that's it?
Motion to close?
adjourn?
I'll second.
Everybody say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
At 7:43.